Hello dear students. Today I am going to discuss the chemical bond topic, which is a very important and very interesting topic also. Chemical bond topic. Two questions is cover in the NEET purpose and IIT purpose from this topic. So chemical bond is very important topic and more application type of questions will come from the chemical bond. So and enter to the topic chemical bond. So what is the meaning of chemical bond? In the simple language, chemical bond means a force of attraction. Force of attraction between the two particles. The two particles may be atoms, or the two particle may be ions, or the two particle may be whatever it. Between the two particle, a force of attraction is developed. Because of the force of attraction, the two particle will become close to each other and form a stable molecule. So it is called chemical bond. Mean whatever the force of attraction it is operating between the two particle to give a stable molecule is called as a chemical bond. For example, I am taking the two atoms I am taking, two hydrogen atoms I am taking, two similar atoms, two hydrogen atoms I am taking. When two hydrogen atoms is combined, it will be form the hydrogen molecule, and in this process nearly 434 kilojoules of energy releases outside. Once again, two individual atoms are combining here. And when two individual atoms are combined, a molecule is forming. This molecule we call as a stable molecule. This molecule we call as a stable molecule, and in this formation of the stable molecule, some amount of energy releases outside. Nearly 434 kilojoules of energy releases outside. So previously we discussed the definition. Chemical bond mean the force of attraction which is operating between the two species. The two species may be atoms or maybe ions or maybe molecules, whatever it. Between the two species, a force of attraction is operate. Because of the force of attraction, the two species is come close to each other and form a stable molecule. And whatever the force of attraction is operating, that is called a chemical bond. So it means between the two hydrogen atoms, some force of attractions are developed. That force of attraction, what you call chemical bond. So now, when these two individual hydrogen atoms are combined, hydrogen molecule is forming. The molecule is stable, but the atoms are not stable. So we can say these atoms are unstable. So why these atoms are unstable mean due to the energy difference. So generally, atoms is having the very high amount of energy compared to molecule. In the chemistry, the species which is having high amount of energy, it is very less stable. Due to that reason, hydrogen atoms are very less stable, or we can say simply unstable also. We can say less stable, or we can say simply unstable also. So these less stable atoms is combining and giving the molecule. In this process, some amount of energy releasing outside. Because of that, we can say this is a exothermic reaction. It means we can understand when a molecule is forming from their constituent atoms is always exothermic reaction. It may be hydrogen is forming, it may be nitrogen, it may be chlorine, it may be oxygen, it may be fluorine. Whatever the molecule is forming from the respective atoms is always exothermic reaction. So now here some amount of energy releasing outside, it means the product is having less amount of energy compared to reactant. So the species which is having less amount of energy, it is highly stable, and the species which is having more amount of energy, it is unstable. So according to Kossel and Lewis theory, according to Kossel and Lewis theory, the atoms which is having 8 electrons in the valence shell, they are considering as a stable. So we can consider the stability based on the energy level. At the same time, based on the valence electron also. The species which is having less energy, we can say highly stable. At the same time, according to Kossel and Lewis theory, the species which is having 8 electrons in their valence shell. The species which is having 8 electrons in their valence shell, also called as a the species having a stability. So now here, the element or the species which is having the 8 electrons in their valence shell, we consider as a stable species. So based on that point, we can understand in the complete periodic table, only the 8th group of element or 18th group of elements are stable, because only these group of elements having 8 electrons in their valence shell. Other element does not having 8 electron, because if you see the first group, second group, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh group of element does not have 8 electrons in their valence shell. But what is Koszalin-Lewis theory says that the atoms which is having 8 electrons in their valence shell, they are stable. It means except the 18th group or 8th group of element, the remaining every element is unstable. But every element also try to get the stable. But how it is possible mean the elements are try to achieve the stable configuration by two ways, either by transferring of electron and by sharing of electron. By transferring of electron, the elements achieve the 8 electrons in their valence shell, or by sharing of electrons. By sharing of electrons also, the elements are achieve the 8 electrons in their valence shell. So now, the elements which is having 8 electrons in their valence shell, we called as a octet rule. We call what? Octet rule. It means the elements are achieve the octet configuration or octet rule by the transferring of electron from their valence shell or by sharing of electrons between the two species. So by these two ways, the atoms are try to get the stable configuration. So once again here, chemical bond mean the bond which is possible between the two species to give a stable molecule, we call as a chemical bond. For example, if you see that hydrogens, if you see individually hydrogen atoms are unstable, these unstable hydrogen atoms are combined, give a stable hydrogen molecule. So now hydrogen molecule is stable due to the less amount of energy, hydrogen atoms are unstable due to the high amount of energy. So in this process, some amount of energy releases outside, due to that we can say there is an exothermic reaction. And the next one is Koszalin-Lewis theory. Next one is Koszalin-Lewis theory. According to Koszalin-Lewis theory, the elements which is having 8 electrons in their valence shell, we considering as a stable molecule. And the elements which is having 8 electrons in their valence shell, it means only 18th group of elements having 8 electrons in the valence shell, mean neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. Except these elements, no other elements having 8 electrons in their valence shell. It means except these elements, no other elements are stable according to Koszalin-Lewis. But these elements also try to get the stability. So how it is get the stability mean? By the two ways, either by transferring of electrons, either by sharing of electron. The elements try to get the octet configuration by the transferring of valence electron or by sharing of valence electron is called as a octet rule. So now by using this way, the elements are get the stable molecule or the elements are converted to a stable species. So now this we can say octet rule, and we have the limitations of the octet rule also. Let us discuss the limitations of the octet rule. Before that, we will see some examples with the help of octet rule. For example, I am saying that elements are get the stable configuration by transferring of electron and by sharing of electron. We discussed that according to Koszalin-Lewis theory, the elements are converted to stable species at the two ways. One is transferring of electron and other one is sharing of electron. So let us discuss how the elements, if it is transfer the electron, how it is converted to stable, and elements, how it is converted to stable by sharing of electron. For example, I am taking two group of elements I am taking. One is sodium and other one is chlorine, or one example you can take as a sodium, and here I am taking as a hydrogen. Sodium atomic number is 11, valence shell 1 electron is present because it is belongs to first group of elements. Electronic configuration of the sodium 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1. 3s1 is the valence shell. In the valence shell only 1 electron present, but if you see the before the valence shell, sodium having 8 electron. But we know that 8 electrons containing species are more stable, but it should be in the valence shell. But here 8 electron is there, but it is not in the valence shell. So it means this sodium is not stable because valence shell 8 electrons are not present. How many electrons present? Only 1 electron is present. So due to that, sodium is unstable. So now here, to get the stable, sodium is transferring 1 electron or sodium losing 1 electron. So which electron is loses? The electron which is present in the valence shell, it will be lose always. Now based on that reason, sodium if it is loses 1 electron, the remaining configuration of the sodium is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, and now the sodium is converted to sodium plus. And in the sodium plus valence shell, how many electron present? 8 electron is present. Now the sodium plus is stable because it is having 8 electrons in their valence shell. It means sodium converted to stable species by transferring of electron. Let us come to the sharing of electron. Hydrogen if you take, hydrogen valence shell only 1 electron present. I am taking another hydrogen atom also having only 1 electron. Due to the same capacity of the two elements, no atom ready to donate electron, no atom ready to accept electron. So at that time what happened, first atom contributing 1 electron, second atom also contributing 1 electron. The contributed electron will be present between the two hydrogen atoms of the two nucleus. Now these two electrons are sharing by two hydrogen atoms equally. At that time each hydrogen atom having 2 electrons in their valence shell. If you see that this is the hydrogen atom, in this valence shell of the hydrogen atom 2 electrons are present. This is one of the hydrogen atom. In this valence shell 2 electrons are present. So either 2 electrons, either 8 electrons, both we considering as a stable molecule according to Coser-Lewis theory. Now hydrogen atom is having the 2 electrons here, and here also we see individual hydrogen atom having the 2 electrons. So now here these atoms are converted to stable species either by transferring of electron, either by sharing of electron. So now this is the what octet rule, because in this valence shell 8 electrons are present, here 2 electrons are present. 2 electron present nothing but we call as a duplet configuration. If you see the example of chlorine valence shell 7 electrons are present. I am taking another chlorine atom also having 7 valency electron. So now first chlorine atom contributing 1 electron, at the same time second chlorine atom contributing 1 electron. So after the contributing the electron, the 2 electrons are present between the 2 chlorine atoms. The contributed 2 electrons are present between the 2 chlorine atoms. So after that, first chlorine atom sharing the 2 electrons, at the same time second chlorine atom also sharing the 2 electrons. If we count the first chlorine atom having electrons 2, 4, 6 and 8. And the next one, this chlorine atom 2, 4, 6, 8. Now every chlorine atom having 8 electrons in the valence shell. So due to that reason, we discussed that atoms are getting the stable configuration either by transferring of electron or by sharing of electron. Here by the transferring of electron, the atoms achieve the 8 electrons in the valence shell. Here by sharing of electron, the atoms are achieve the 8 electrons in the valence shell. So the atoms are tend to achieve the stable configuration either by transferring of electron, either by sharing of electron is called as a octet rule. So it means according to Coser-Lewis theory, the species which is having 8 electrons in their valence shell, that is stable. So now this is about the octet rule, and next we will be discuss about the limitations of the octet rule. Next topic is limitations of the octet rule. So what are the limitations of the octet rule? So now octet rule says that the molecules, in the molecule, the central atom or the atoms, if it is having 8 electrons, that is stable. But some of the molecule does not have the 8 electrons. Means maybe it is more than 8 electron, maybe the central atom having less than 8 electron, even though the molecule we are considering as a stable. So let us see what type of examples. So limitations of octet rule. Next one is limitations of octet rule. So what is the limitations of octet rule? So generally here 3 types of limitations are there in the octet rule. First one is expanded octet. First one is expanded octet. And the second one is incomplete octet. First one is expanded octet and the second one is incomplete octet, and the third one is odd number molecules. Third one is odd number molecules. So let us see that expanded octet. Expanded octet means in a given molecule, the central atom having more than 8 electrons. That is we call as a expanded octet. For example, if you see phosphorus pentachloride, I am taking phosphorus pentachloride. At the same time, sulfur hexafluoride you can take, and iodine heptafluoride you can take. So if you see the phosphorus pentachloride, around the phosphorus 5 chlorines are present. It means around the phosphorus 5 chlorines having with single bond. So each bond takes the 2 electron. It means PCl5 nothing but around the phosphorus 5 bonds are present. Around the phosphorus 5 bonds are present. Each bond is 2 electron. 5 bonds nothing but your phosphorus having the 10 electron. At the same time, sulfur having the 12 electron and around the iodine having the 14 electron. But generally we discuss that the atoms which is having 8 electrons around it, it is a stable. But here it is not having the 8 electron. Phosphorus if you see 10 electron, sulfur if you see 12 electron, iodine if you see 14 electron, even though we are considering as a stable. So this is why it is does not explain whether octet theory. So we can say limitations of the octet rule. So next one is incomplete octet. Incomplete octet nothing but some of the molecules central atom does not having the 8 electron. Less than 8 electrons are present. So for example, if you see beryllium halides, for example, beryllium chloride. Next one is boron trifluoride. For example, these two examples if you see, beryllium chloride if you see, around the beryllium 2 chlorines are present. First chlorine and the second chlorine. So around the beryllium 2 chlorine nothing but how many electrons here? 4 electrons. Around the beryllium 4 electrons are present. But octet theory what it says, 8 electrons is the stable, but here 4 electrons is present. Next come to the boron trifluoride. What is boron? First fluorine and the second fluorine and the third fluorine. Around the boron how many fluorine? 3 fluorine. 3 fluorine nothing but how many electrons? 3 fluorine nothing but 3 bonds. 3 bond nothing but 6 electron. So now boron having 6 electron around it. 6 electron is present nothing but it is not a stable, it is unstable. So it means expanded octet and incomplete octet. Expanded octet nothing but the central atom having more than 8 electrons in their valence shell. Incomplete octet nothing but the central atom having less than 8 electrons in the valence shell. Next one is odd number of molecule. Some of the molecule in their valence shell having odd number of electron. For example, NO. For example, if you see NO and you see that N2O. So generally octet nothing but octet nothing but even number. But here what happened? Odd number of molecules is present. So for example, if you see that nitrogen valence shell 5 electron, oxygen valence shell 7 electron, and 6 electrons, and 6 plus 5 totally 11 electrons are present. It is a odd number. Next one N2O, nitrogen valence shell 5 electron, 2 nitrogen nothing but 10 electrons present. At the same time, oxygen valence shell, just 1 minute. You can see that NO2. So nitrogen valence shell 5 electrons are present and oxygen valence shell 6 electrons. So totally NO2 nothing but 2 oxygens are present. 1 oxygen 6 electron, 2 oxygen 2 electrons. So then totally here also 17 electrons are present. So it means NO having valence shell odd number of electron, NO2 having valence shell odd number of electron. So about these molecule, the octet theory does not explain anything. So that's why we call these are the limitations of the octet rule. Once again, limitations of the octet rule. Expanded octet mean more than 8 electrons are present around the central atom. Incomplete octet, otherwise less than octet, means around the central atom. It is incomplete, otherwise we can say less than octet also we can say simply. Less than octet or vacant, less than octet. So it is having the less number of valence electron. At the same time, odd number. It means in the valence shell of the 2 atoms which is participating in the bond formation, having the odd number of electron. So this is the limitations of the octet rule. So after the limitations of the octet rule, so next one is after the limitation of the octet rule, the next topic is formal charge. After the limitations of the octet rule, the next topic is formal charge. Formal charge is very important. Formal charge also we have maybe one question they can ask from the formal charge. So what is the formal charge? So generally, if you see the ionic compounds, on the cation we have some charge, on the anion we have some charge. But if you see the polyatomic molecule, all charge is present sometimes on the polyatomic molecule. Whatever the old charge is present on the polyatomic molecule, it does not represent what individual atoms charge in that. So simply we can say that formal charge is not a real ionic charge. We can identify the individual charge which is present in the molecule. So simply we can say that formal charge is a individual charge which is present in the molecule. So every molecule, if we see that a individual charge is present, we can identify the individual charge, but this charge is not a real ionic charge. So now here if you see the formal charge, depend on the formal charge values, we can understand the given molecule is stable or unstable. So less formal charge nothing but the molecule is highly stable. More formal charge nothing but the molecule is less stable. So due to the formal charge values or depend on the formal charge values, we can guess the given molecule is highly stable or less stable. Then how can you identify the formal charge? Let us see. So formal charge generally shown the symbol with QF. So formal charge is equal to number of valency electrons number of valency electrons of free atom, number of valency electrons of the atom in the free state otherwise, minus number of lone pair of electron minus half into number of bond pair of electron, number of bond pair of electron. So this is the formula. So based on this formula we can identify the formal charge. Once again the formal charge formula, formal charge is equal to number of valency electrons of the central atom or number of valency electrons of the atom in the free state minus number of lone pair of electrons minus half into number of bond pair of electron. So let us see, for example, I am taking the pH3. I am taking the pH3. So individual atom charge I can find in the pH3 based on the formal charge. Let us see how can I identify the individual charge. So pH3 structure I am writing, phosphorus fifth group of element, valence shell 5 electrons are present. Out of 5 electrons, 3 electrons are participating in the bond formation, 2 electrons are behaving as a lone pair. Now for example, I want to identify the phosphorus formal charge. So formal charge of phosphorus. Formal charge of phosphorus. Phosphorus belongs to fifth group of element. So in the valence shell 5 electrons are present minus number of lone pair of electrons. On the phosphorus one lone pair is there. It means 2 lone pair electrons asking. One lone pair nothing but 2 electron. At the same time minus half into number of bond pair of electron. So whatever the bonds present around the phosphorus you can say bond pairs. And 3 bond pairs are present. 3 bond pair nothing but 6 electrons. So now this 6 if it is cancelled, 3 will come. And next if you see 5 minus 2 minus 3 is equal to 0. That means formal charge on the phosphorus is 0. Next formal charge on this hydrogen. Formal charge on the hydrogen. Hydrogen belongs to first group of elements. So valence shell 1 electron present minus number of lone pair. This hydrogen does not having any lone pair because only hydrogen having 1 electron. The 1 electron also participating in the bond formation. So now the number of lone pairs is 0 minus half into number of bond pairs. Hydrogen forming only one bond. One bond nothing but number of electrons are 2. So if it is cancelled, finally 1 minus 1 will come. It is also 0. So now formal charge on the phosphorus is 0. At the same time formal charge on the hydrogen also is 0. So every hydrogen also formal charge is 0. So based on this formal charge, we can identify the molecule is stable or unstable. It means the formal charge on the atoms, either if it is 0, either if it is negative, we can say the molecule is highly stable. So here phosphorus is 0, hydrogen is 0, hydrogen is 0, means this structure is very stable structure for the phosphorus. So for the pH3 molecule. So this is the formal charge. And the next formal charge, for example, ozone. Next formal charge, for example, if I am taking ozone molecule, if I take, what is the formal charge? So before that, how can you write the ozone structure? Let us see, children. So many students are confused to write the ozone structure, how the ozone structure is possible. So ozone nothing but 3 oxygens. I am taking the 3 oxygen atoms here. So each oxygen atom valence shell 6 electrons are present because oxygen belongs to 6th group of element. I am taking here 6 electron, 1, 2, next 3, 4, 5, 6, and this oxygen atom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this oxygen atom also 6 electrons. Clear? So now every oxygen atom having 6 electrons. And first oxygen atom, second oxygen atom having 2 electrons here and 2 electrons here. When these 2 electrons are sharing each other, oxygen to oxygen, 2 bonds are possible. Now at that time, this oxygen, around this oxygen, how many electrons? 2, 4, 6, 8 electrons is present. Around this oxygen atom also 8 electrons are present. 2 atoms are stable, but ozone nothing but O3. 3 atoms should be present, but this oxygen atom stable, this oxygen atom stable due to the 8 electrons completed, 8 electron completed. But how this is? This is having only 6 electron. At that time, from these two atoms, okay, means you can take this one. This atom already having the 8 electrons, it is a stable, at the same time having lone pair of electron. So now, whatever the lone pair of electron present here, out of 2 electron, the oxygen is contribute 1 electron. The oxygen is contributing 1 electron. So oxygen contributing 1 electron, after contributing 1 electron, and this is forming the bond with this oxygen atom. So now the second oxygen atom is contributing 1 electron, again it is sharing. So it means coordinate covalent bond takes place due to the unequal contribution. Only this oxygen is contributing electron, but this oxygen does not contributing electron. Unequal contribution of electrons gives a coordinate covalent bond. So now this is the coordinate covalent bond and ozone structure. So let us see that ozone structure directly. How can write? So two oxygen atom, third oxygen atom, between the any two oxygen atom double bond and another oxygen atom we can take as a single charge. So now here number of electrons, how many? 4 electrons we can write, and here 2 electrons we can write, and here 6 electrons we can write. So this is the oxygen or ozone formal charge, ozone structure. So now let us discuss the formal charge of the ozone. So this is the first oxygen atom, is the second oxygen atom, is the third oxygen atom. First oxygen atom formal charge, second oxygen atom formal charge, third oxygen atom formal charge I am going to find. So first oxygen atom formal charge. So how can you find the first oxygen atom formal charge? Whatever the formal charge, nothing but number of valence electrons of the atom in the free state minus number of bond pair of electrons, minus number of lone pair of electron minus half into number of bond pair of electron. So oxygen belongs to sixth group of element, valence shell 6 electrons are present, minus number of lone pair of electron. This oxygen, let us see, this oxygen having how many electrons? 4 electrons. 4 minus half into number of bond pair of electron. How many bonds is present? 2 bond. 2 bond nothing but 4 electrons. Half into 4. So let us see here 2, 6 minus 6 is equal to 0. It means first oxygen atom formal charge how much? 0. Second oxygen atom. Second oxygen atom formal charge. So now oxygen valence shell 6 electrons are present. Number of lone pairs. This oxygen having only one lone pair, it means 2 electron minus half into number of bond pair of electron. Totally 3 bonds is present. 3 bonds nothing but 6 electron. So 3 and here 6 minus 5 is equal to 1. Formal charge of second oxygen atom plus 1. Let's come to the third oxygen atom. Formal charge of third oxygen atom. This oxygen atom also belongs to sixth group of element. At the same time minus number of electrons, number of lone pair of electrons, how many? 3 lone pairs is present. 3 lone pair nothing but 6 electrons. At the same time minus half into number of bond pair of electron. This oxygen having how many bonds? 1 bond. 1 bond nothing but 2 electrons. So this 2 will be cancelled. 6 minus 6 0 and minus 1 is equal to minus 1. So now first oxygen, this is the first oxygen formal charge is 0. Second oxygen formal charge is plus 1. Third oxygen formal charge is minus 1. So this is the formal charge. Generally when you are writing the molecule, individual charge we cannot represent, but formal charge we can represent. But one more thing, this formal charge is not a real ionic charge, and formal charge values is less, 0 or negatives if it is come, the structure is stable structure or the molecule is stable molecule. So this is about the formal charge. This is about the formal charge. And one more thing, resonance structure. Some of the molecule will be formed the resonance. When the structures is forming the resonance, means more than one type of structure is forming. When more than one type of structure is forming, the formal charge of the individual atoms also changes, because chemical environment will be changes. When the chemical environment changes, the formal charge values also changes. So this is about the formal charge. So after the formal charge, the next topic is a covalent bond. The next topic is a covalent bond. So let us come to the main topic here. Chemical bond is dividing into 3 types. The main topic is chemical bonding is dividing into 3 types. So before that, everything is some introduction part. Now we are entering into the main topic. So that is what a chemical bond. So chemical bond is generally dividing into 3 types. So what is the chemical bond? We discussed that the force of attraction which is possible between the 2 species. The 2 species may be atoms, or the 2 species may be molecule, the 2 species may be ions. So between the two, the force of attraction is operating and resulting a stable molecule is forming, and the force of attraction which is helpful to give the stable molecule is called as a chemical bond. So let us see that chemical bond is dividing into 3 types. One is a covalent bond, and second one is a coordinate covalent bond, and the third one is ionic bond. So totally chemical bond is mainly dividing into 3 types. One is a covalent bond, one is coordinate covalent bond, other one is what? Ionic bond. So covalent bond is forming by the sharing of electron. Covalent bond is forming by the equal sharing of electron between the 2 particles. Between the 2 species, the electrons are sharing equally. At that time, the resulting bond is covalent bond. So it means hydrogen contributing 1 electron, other hydrogen also contributing 1 electron, and the sharing each hydrogen atom 2 electron, means equal contribution is present, equal sharing is present. At that time, covalent bond is possible. And coordinate covalent bond, unequal contribution. Coordinate covalent bond takes place by the unequal contribution of electron. unequal contribution of electron. Mean out of two atom, only one atom contributing electron, other atom does not contributing any electron. At that time, coordinate covalent bond is possible. Next one is ionic bond. Ionic bond is possible by the transferring of electron. Ionic bond is takes place by the transferring of electron between the two particle. One of the particle or one of the atom is transferring of electron, other atom is taking the electron. It means one atom losing electron, another atom is gaining electron. At that time, between the two particle, ionic bond is possible. So whatever the bond, there may be covalent bond, there may be coordinate covalent bond, there may be ionic bond, whatever the bond you take, final concept is the molecule is stable. It means the stable molecule is coming from the individual atoms. Individual atoms are unstable. These unstable atoms are converted to stable species by the different processes. In that process only, whatever the bonds are forming, that bonds we call as a covalent bond, and the bond is called as a coordinate covalent bond, and the bond is called as a ionic bond. So now let us discuss the covalent bond formation. So how the covalent bond is possible, and what are the requirement conditions for the formation of the covalent bond. So already we discussed the formation of the covalent bond with the help of hydrogen and chlorine. So let us see that covalent bond. Covalent bond. So covalent bond is forming by the what? The bond formed between the definition I'm writing here. The bond formed between the two atoms. The bond formed between the two atoms. Mean the two atom may be similar, other two atom may be dissimilar, whatever. But the bond formed between the two atoms by equal contribution. The bond formed between the two atoms by equal contribution and equal sharing of electron. Equal contribution and equal sharing of electron is called as a covalent bond between the two atoms. The two atoms may be similar, the two atoms may be different. So two atoms may be different here. One is white chalk, one is some red color chalk. So two atoms are different. Between the two atoms also, our electrons are sharing takes place. Between the same atoms also, electrons are sharing takes place. Whatever it, the bond formed between the two species by sharing of electron, equal contribution, equal sharing of electron we call as a covalent bond. There may be two same atom, there may be two different atoms. Depend on that what type of atoms are involving. Again, the covalent bond is two types. Depend on the type of atoms are involving. The covalent bond is two types. One is a pure covalent bond. One is a pure covalent bond and another one is a polar covalent bond. One is pure covalent bond, other one is what? Polar covalent bond. So what is the meaning of pure covalent bond? Pure covalent bond nothing but the bond which is takes place between the two similar atoms. Here we discuss that covalent bond nothing but the bond formed between the two atoms. The two may be same, the two may be different. If the atoms are same atoms, if the atoms are what? Same atom, the bond possible between the two similar atoms like hydrogen to hydrogen, maybe chlorine to chlorine, maybe fluorine to fluorine, or maybe oxygen to oxygen, maybe nitrogen to nitrogen, whatever it. If you see here, everything is same atom, hydrogen, hydrogen, same atom, chlorine, chlorine, same, fluorine, fluorine, same. So the bond takes place, the bond formed between the two same atoms by equal contribution and equal sharing of electron is called as a pure covalent bond. Pure covalent bond. Here polar covalent bond nothing but the bond formed between the two dissimilar atoms. For example, I am taking hydrogen and chlorine, and next of all I am taking hydrogen and fluorine, I am taking hydrogen and bromine, like okay, otherwise I am taking like a CH4, and next of all I am taking H2O, CH4 and H2O, hydrogen chloride, hydrogen fluoride, CH4 and H2O. What happened here? Two different atoms are present. So the bond formed between the two different atoms is called as a polar covalent. The bond formed between the two same atoms is called as a pure covalent. And one more important condition, covalent bond which is formed between the two atoms. The two atoms may be similar, the two atoms may be dissimilar, but the electronegativity difference, whatever the two atoms are participating in the bond formation, the two atoms electronegativity difference must be less than 1.7. The two atoms electronegativity must be less than 1.7. Here also two same atoms are participating. For example, here electronegativity 2.3 and 2.3 if you take, between the two same atoms electronegativity difference how much? 0. between the two atoms, electronegativity difference is 0. Always when the two same atoms are participating in the bond formation, two same atoms having two same electronegativity. At that time, difference in the electronegativity, how much it will be? 0. So difference in the electronegativity, if it is 0, at that time we can say there is a pure covalent bond. So once again, pure covalent bond nothing but the bond which is formed between the two similar atoms which having the electronegativity difference is 0. Such type of bond we call as a pure covalent bond. Such type of molecule we call as a pure covalent molecule. Come to the polar covalent. Polar covalent nothing but two different atoms. Two different atoms obviously having the two different electronegativities. But the electronegativity difference is less than 1.7. Electronegativity difference is must be less than 1.7. At that time, what bond is takes place? Polar covalent bond. Electronegativity difference, if it is 0, pure covalent bond. Electronegativity difference is less than 1.7. 0 to 1.7. Between these two is there, that is a polar covalent molecule. So this is about the covalent molecule. One is pure covalent and one more is a polar covalent. So let us discuss the next properties of the covalent compounds. Next one is properties. So actually chemical bond topic is very a lengthy topic. Lengthy topic means here theory part is more ionic bond, coordinate bond, covalent bond, and these are the very lengthy theory part. So the theory part, if you want to discuss, take the more time, and once we enter into the Fajans rule, at the same time thermodynamic stability, lattice energy, solubility, everything application type of questions, the topic will be move fast. Okay, here this is the conceptual and important theory part. So we have to prepare every theory part from the chemical bond topic, because every point is very important. So next one is properties of the covalent compound. We are discussing about properties of covalent compounds. So what is the properties of covalent compound? Covalent compound properties are what? Generally, covalent compound properties, we see that physical states we see. First property is physical state. First property of the covalent compound is physical state. Physical state of the covalent compound is first property, and the second property conductivity. Second property conductivity, and the third property I am taking as a solubility. Third property you can take as a solubility. First one is physical state, second one is conductivity, third one is solubility, and the fourth one is reactivity. Fourth one is reactivity. So these are the properties of the covalent compound. Let us see what is the physical state of the covalent compounds. Generally, covalent compound, if you see, maximum covalent compounds are either gases, either liquids, or very soft solids, because covalent bond takes place between the non-metals. Maximum non-metals only possible the covalent bond formation. So that means non-metals are what? Non-metals are maximum gases, either liquids, either soft solids. Same here also, covalent compounds may be gases, may be liquids, and may be solids also possible. So covalent compound physical state is what? Gas possible, at the same time liquids possible, at the same time solids also possible. Example, gas, if you take chlorine gas you can take, liquid nothing but bromine liquid you can take, solid nothing but iodine solid you can take, at the same time diamond, at the same time graphite. These are what? Very hard in nature. So that is also covalent compounds only. Next one is conductivity. So covalent compounds does not conduct electricity. In aqueous state, in molten state, in solid state, in liquid state, does not conduct electricity, because there is no free electrons in the covalent compounds. So there is no conductivity, because no free electrons in the covalent compounds. There is no conductivity of the covalent compounds. Next one, solubility. So we know that like dissolve in like. Like dissolve in like. It means covalent compounds or polar compounds are dissolved in polar solvent, non-polar compounds are dissolved in non-polar solvents. So we can say here, these are what? Simply non-polar solvents. Covalent compounds are generally we can think as a non-polar solvents. Non-polar solvents. So non-polar solvents dissolves in. Non-polar solvents are what? Dissolves in where? Non-polar solvents. Non-polar compounds are dissolved in non-polar solvents. Then what is the non-polar solvents? What are the non-polar solvent? Non-polar solvent nothing but maybe benzene is the non-polar solvent. Next one, carbon disulfide is non-polar solvent. Carbon tetrachloride is a non-polar solvent. So all the non-polar compounds are soluble in where? Non-polar solvent. So that's why the concept is what here? Like dissolve in like. Polar compound dissolve in polar solvent, non-polar compound dissolve in non-polar solvents. And the next one is what? Reactivity. Reactivity. Here, covalent compounds are participating in very slow reaction. Covalent compounds are participating in very slow reaction compared to ionic compound. Why ionic compounds are very fast in reaction? Nothing but ionic compound nothing but simply force of attraction. Covalent compound nothing but a bond. So always a force of attraction breaking is easy compared to bond. For example, between the two person, some force of attraction, some kind of love if it is there. So we can break the persons easily. But compared to bond, the person if it is a bond means a wife and husband bond, a relation if it is there, we can't break easily compared to the person which is having more attraction or they are in the love. So same here what? Attractions we can break easily compared to bond. Attraction we can break easily compared to bond. So covalent it is a bond. Ionic bond is an attraction. Attractions we can break easily, but bonds we cannot break easily. So we cannot break easily nothing but it is participating in very slowly in the reaction. So bonds we cannot break easily. Bonds we cannot break easily. Bonds we cannot break easily. So that's why what happened here, the reactions are very slow. But ionic reactions are very fast. Covalent reaction, ionic reaction, which reaction is very fast? Nothing but you can say directly ionic reactions are very fast, because ionic reaction nothing but only force of attractions are present. Force of attraction you can break easily, but covalent compounds you cannot break easily. It means we have to break the bond making possible, bond breaking possible. It's a lot of process. So that's why it is very slowly participating in the chemical reaction. So this is the properties of the covalent compound. This is the properties of what? Covalent compound. After that, next one is coordinate covalent compounds. Coordinate compounds completed. So once again, covalent compound. Covalent compound means the bond or the covalent bond. Covalent bond nothing but the bond formed between the two species by equal contribution, equal sharing of electron. Generally, it is possible in the non-metals. And it is two types. One is a pure covalent, one is polar covalent. Pure covalent nothing but between the two same type of atoms takes place. Polar covalent nothing but between the two different atoms. Two same atom nothing but electronic difference is 0. Dissimilar nothing but electronic difference must be less than 1.7. At the time only bonds takes place, and these are the properties. Next one is coordinate covalent bond. Next one is a coordinate covalent bond. So we discussed that covalent bond nothing but the bond formed between the two atoms, that may be same atom, that may be dissimilar atom, but equal contribution, equal sharing is there, covalent bond takes place. But coordinate covalent bond nothing but unequal contribution. The bond formed between the two species by unequal contribution of electron. Between the two species, unequal contribution of electron takes place. It is forms the coordinate covalent bond. Then let us see what is the unequal contribution. Before that, the conditions. What are the conditions to favorable the formation of covalent bond? So between the two species, covalent bond is possible. In that, what is the characters of the two species? First species, one species must have, one of the species or one of the particle must have octet configuration. At the same time, lone pair electron should be present. And the other atom vacant for the octet. Other atom vacant for octets. So these two conditions are compulsory. Whatever the two species are participating in the coordinate covalent bond formation, in that one of the species must complete their octet and should have lone pair of electron. Other species vacant for the octet. So let us see what is the example. For example, I am taking formation of NH4 plus. Formation of NH4 plus. Let us see how ammonium ion is forming. So ammonium ion is combination of NH3 and H plus. If you see that NH3, nitrogen fifth group of element. In the valence shell 5 electrons are present. Out of 5 electrons, 3 electrons are participating in the bond formation with hydrogen, and one lone pair is present, ammonia forming. And H plus, hydrogen atomic number is 1. It means it's having only 1 electron. The 1 electron also losing. That means it does not having any electron. So now what happened? It is nitrogen 1cc, NH3 structure I am writing. This is the NH3 structure. And let us see around the nitrogen how many electrons are there. 1 bond, 2 bond, 3 bond. 3 bond nothing but 6 electron, here 2 electron. Totally nitrogen having 8 electron, means octet completed. First condition is what? One species must have octet, at the same time should contain lone pair. So here one lone pair is there. It is clear. Second is what? Other atom vacant for octet. Is vacant for doublet or vacant for octet, because hydrogen having only 1 electron, the 1 electron also losing. Now what is a vacant orbital is clear. So two conditions are following. Now what happened here? whatever the molecule which is having octet and lone pair is the particular atom contributing electron to hydrogen. Now here this particle is contributing electron to hydrogen, but hydrogen does not contributing any electron. It means unequal contribution. Nitrogen contributing electron, hydrogen also contributing equal contribution. But here nitrogen only contributing, hydrogen does not contributing because with hydrogen there is no electron. So when unequal contribution takes place, what is the definition? Unequal contribution of electron. Between the two spaces, unequal contribution of electron when it takes place, the resulting bond what is forming, that is called as a coordinate covalent bond. And here the atom which is transferring the electron, that is behaving as a donor, we call that is a donor, and the atom which is accepting electron, we call that is a acceptor. So one is donor, one is acceptor, and coordinate covalent bond is shown the symbol with arrow mark from one donor to acceptor. This is the coordinate covalent bond. And the properties of the coordinate covalent bond, generally it is intermediate between the covalent bond and intermediate between the ionic bond. Covalent bond, ionic bond, intermediate. The properties of the coordinate covalent compounds are intermediate between the ionic compounds and covalent compounds, right? So this is the what ionic bond and covalent bond and coordinate covalent bond. So this is the today's session, and we'll be continue the tomorrow session. Next class will be continue ionic bond formation and their factors. Ionic bond formation and their factors. And if you have any doubts on the related topic, and if you need anyone the tuitions, because I am taking online tuitions also we are taking. So if you need anyone personally online tuition, at the same time if you have any doubts, we can keep the message to the mail. I am writing here my mail ID, Bandi Venkat, BANDIVENKAT, Bandi Venkat 610@gmail.com. @gmail.com. So this is my mail ID. You can mail to this one. Otherwise, my WhatsApp number I am writing here, 95738 and 23556. You can contact this number if you have any doubts. You can keep the message because it's only WhatsApp number. So other person is using the same number, but sometimes when the mobile is switched off, the other person can lift the call. So better to message to this number, WhatsApp number or mail ID. If you have any doubts and if you need any further classification and if you need any home tuitions, please contact this number. And this is the today session, and the tomorrow session will be continue with the other topic. Thank you.